South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
This is the best sports betting network.
I would argue it is a total mismatch.
There's value with underdog prices in series.
I would lean to the under here.
My numbers are saying I got to bet the Tigers.
Two-way action.
When in doubt, we juice that favorite, that extra nickel.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
Forget about it. The best.
It's Sports by the Book at the South Point Studio. Here's Jeff Parles and Alex White.
Good morning. Welcome in. It is Sports by the Book. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Happy to be with you as always. Alex, good morning.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday indeed. Apologies for the color of my face. Wear sunscreen, kids. That's all I got to tell you. All right, Alex. We're going to have Dwayne Colucci in a few moments. We apparently have lighting's not doing any favors on top of it. We have an issue with Dwayne and the property where, Alex, we know when we were upstairs, we would always have this every once in a while where the alarms would go off. There'd really be nothing going on, but the alarms would be going off. So we're waiting on that up at the Rampart. So we'll start with the NBA Finals tonight. Game 7 yesterday, and the Thunder win the title. It was a very eventful NBA day yesterday for Game 7, where it's normally just a game, but wasn't just a game. Thunder win Game 7, dominant second half, 103-91. First title since moving from Seattle to Oklahoma City for the franchise. They also, we have a big-time injury. Tyrese Halliburton is going to lose all next season with a ruptured Achilles as well. And Kevin Durant got traded. So it was a chaotic day in the association, Alex, which really the biggest thing is the Thunder winning their first championship, which is just a culmination of the best team winning the title here.
It's pretty remarkable, really, because they were the best team all year long. And it's kind of rare that you actually see that in professional sports because a team will get hot just at the right time. But, I mean, to be so young and all of them dialed in, it is remarkable. We're going to look back, and this is going to be a really good NBA postseason that we kind of missed, right? Because the Pacers went on that incredible run, forced a Game 7 here against this really good Thunder team. And I mean, it's unfortunate with Halliburton. I don't think he should have played. And now that's 3 Achilles in this postseason. So it is pretty wild. Hopefully we've learned something from that and we don't see these injuries after knowing that you have a calf strain. So, it's pretty awesome. SGA, first time in 25 years winning the regular season MVP and then the finals MVP. So that's pretty cool as well. But shout out to OKC. I know that city is very happy right now.
Finals MVP, scoring championship, regular season MVP for Gilgeous-Alexander. Again, I think it's just more than there's a lot. There's going to be some sort of medical study that comes in the next 2-3 years on why they kill. Forget the calf stuff, because obviously there's very similar to what happened with Durant in the 2019 finals. It'll be interesting to see what type of medical study, why Achilles tears were not very prevalent in the NBA up until about 10 years ago. Just specialization in some sport. But again, I'm not a doctor, so no real way to do that. We'll have odds for next year's final coming later in the show. NBA draft is Wednesday. Great job, guys. No turnaround, no extra in between on that. So the job well done there. But the best team won. That's really the big takeaway for me. The best team ended up winning. The Thunder win the championship, first one since moving to Oklahoma City. And then we'll get to those odds a little bit later, but Kevin Durant, of course, now goes to Houston. Be interesting to see how far up the board the Rockets have gone thanks to getting Kevin Durant. All right, we'll take a quick break. When we get back, Dwayne Colucci looks like all is set up at the Rampart, so we'll check in with him for his weekly spot when we get back. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Football contest sign-up season is here, and you don't want to miss out on the action. With millions of dollars on the line each and every week in the world's biggest football contest, there's only one proxy to trust, footballcontest.com. Maddie and Tony have set the gold standard for football contest proxy services with 20 years of experience and over 13 million in winnings for their clients. All you have to do is get to Vegas between now and the start of football season to sign up in person, and they do the rest, making sure your picks are entered every week. Whether you want to play in the Circa Sports Million, Circa Survivor, Super Contest Gold, or the new Super Contest College Contest, Maddie and Tony have you covered. Their new website has everything you need to know about these football contests and more, including how you can reserve the best proxy in the business. Experience matters, so go with the pros at footballcontest.com, the gold standard proxy service.
Go back in, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Now joining us, our good friend Dwayne Colucci joins us here on the program. DC, we got a champion in the NBA. The Thunder win their first title since moving to Oklahoma. What are your thoughts, my friend? What do you got? What do you think from what we saw a night ago?
Well, it's like you said, it's good that the best team won. That's my feeling. And, shame what happened to Tyrese. Definitely that hurts to see that happen. But as a Knicks fan now, who's the best team in the Eastern Conference when you have Lillard gone, you have Tatum gone, Halliburton gone. And like you said, all these Achilles injuries all of a sudden have, it used to be knee injuries back when I was in the 80s, and Bernard King had that devastating knee injury, and it was usually the knees that would go on these players. Now, with all these Achilles injuries, definitely you're going to see a study, like you said, Jeff, where somebody's going to microscope and break this down and what the reasoning is behind this. Now, we know Tyrese was banged up anyway, and he was really trying. He wanted a title. This is Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You never know if you'll get back to this point again, but OKC dominated. They played superior defense, and you could see the adjustment we made as bookmakers, and credit to Chris and his team bringing that total down, to 214 when you saw 222s and higher in prior games where there was a defensive liability. But SGA is a beast. He's the best player in the NBA right now, and, he's going to add to his legacy in future seasons if, everything stays the same and they remain healthy. So definitely this is a team that's going to be reckoned with for many, many years. And the Western Conference is so deep, whereas now with the liabilities and injuries on the eastern side of the ball, it's going to be interesting to see how things play out. And I was very surprised that an Eastern Conference team didn't jump in and try and take KD and make the trade for Durant just to, bolster their chances to win a title. But I'm not so sure how he's going to fit in Houston. I'm a big Houston guy. I love their young roster. They accomplished a lot this year. And now you're bringing in a very outspoken player, a player who's mainly about himself, in my opinion. And the only time this guy ever won was when he had Steph Curry and, Thompson playing at an exceptional level and Green playing at an exceptional level. They were at the peak of their careers, and that's where Durant got his title with Golden State. So I don't know if he's going to make that much of a difference. I hope he plays the team game and buys into the coaching staff and everything. They have a great coaching staff there. So it's remained to be seen what KD has left in the tank and what he's going to bring to the table for Houston. And I'm very surprised an Eastern Conference team didn't hurry up and jump out there to try and, get to the top of the Eastern Conference, because the East is definitely, now with these injuries, it seems like the Knicks and Cleveland are definitely the best teams.
Very good points there, Dwayne. And it's interesting. Houston finished second right behind the champions here, OKC, and now they get Kevin Durant. I'm curious if there's been any movement in the futures market.
Yeah, definitely. A focal player like that, Alex, you're going to see a higher ticket count, and, the sharps are going to jump as soon as it's announced or if they perceive that where he's going. So, we've had some movement on teams like San Antonio and Houston, the younger teams that are definitely coming, to the cusp and the forefront. And also now you're going to have the Lakers sale, which with Dodger ownership there now, there's going to be deep, deep pockets, and anything is possible now for the Los Angeles Lakers as well. So the Lakers are always a focal point in our futures market along with Golden State. But now you're going to see some shift with these injuries to Halliburton, where the Eastern Conference, you're going to see some people, backing other teams than Indiana and Boston going into this next season. So, yeah, there's definitely going to be a sway in the futures market. But most of the handle will come, if you ask me, Alex, on the Western side of the ball.
Well, it'll be interesting. You mentioned the whole Eastern Conference next year is no Tatum, no Halliburton now, no Lillard, as you mentioned. Giannis, who looked like was going to be a shoo-in to be traded, is probably going to stay now in Milwaukee. The Pistons, who gave the Knicks a really hard-fought Eastern Conference first-round series, are probably only going to get better. Orlando trades for Bane. Dwayne, we're going back to the early 2000s here with how messy the Eastern Conference is, where it's totally unbalanced towards the West yet again, like we saw really up until Detroit won that title over the Lakers in that upset fashion in 2004.
Yeah, Embiid too, Jeff. We don't know what the
Sixers are a complete afterthought, but you're right, though.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Guys like Desmond Bane, I mean, they're good acquisitions, and it's definitely going to help Pablo out there. So, yeah, there's a lot of young and up-and-coming teams, just like OKC and Houston. These were the young teams. They found themselves building an incredible roster, and they were right there when all was said and done. And now it looks like a passing of the torch. Guys like LeBron, KD, they're going to have to, acclimate to the game and their surroundings, and we'll see how it comes out. But definitely the Eastern Conference is a jumble. The West, we still have OKC, you have Houston, you have these marquee teams. Lakers will definitely improve, with the full season with Luka if everything stays intact and they make a few acquisitions. And, there's still Denver is out there. There's great, great teams. And the NBA is going to be very interesting with OKC holding the torch and leading the way. But, they're just an injury away as well from, coming back down to the pack and being equal with the rest of these Western Conference teams. So the NBA landscape it's starting to become like the NHL, where, we're seeing Florida dominate right now, but it's very difficult to dominate in any sport and win multiple titles. And you're going to see a lot of these younger up and coming teams start to make a push and definitely make a run at the title.
Dwayne, I don't know if you saw it floating around, and kind of to that point, 7 years with 7 different champions now in the NBA. It's kind of crazy to me because with that parity, that's so much fun. People say that they don't like the Dynasty, but yet I feel like people aren't following NBA as much. But, it's crazy. 7 different champions the last 7 years.
That's crazy, Alex. And like you said, the NBA has definitely had some viewing problems. People are not watching it as much as they used to. I think a lot of people got the stale taste in their mouth of just the wild shooting and, the walking, going away from the base fundamentals that we all grew up watching and what we're used to. So I think that hurt viewership. And, the NFL is going to hurt every sport because everybody loves the NFL. The NFL is just going to always be king. And it's been since I've been a bookmaker. And and since I've been interested in betting and watching sports. So that's not going away. But the NBA definitely, with 7 different champions, it's not that consistent dynasty, and it doesn't get stale. So I think people will start coming back to watching these games, and I definitely think it's important that these teams produce good rosters. The Lakers, the Knicks, they have to be good for people to watch and continue to watch. It's all about the markets and the teams in the larger markets. Now, not that OKC and Indianapolis wasn't a great final, but you still need one of those marquee teams to push the NBA back over the cusp to be one of the most dominating watch sports, along with the NFL and along with Major League Baseball.
Well, might be a few more trips to Oklahoma City for finals over the next few years. Let's just go with that.
As long as SGA is all right.
Hey,
Jeff,
look, they're young. They're
Guy's
young.
a beast.
They're young. They have a ton of draft capital. They're not even in an apron at this point. Hey, boy, it's just going to get better and better for Oklahoma City. Dwayne, baseball, it is topsy-turvy in the National League. Dodgers have reclaimed the best record in the NL. Phillies have reclaimed the lead in the NL East. It is, Dwayne, is going to be a long, windy road.
Jeff, don't. Come on, let's talk about your Mets. What happened, Jeff?
It's very simple. Dwayne, it's not complicated. It's early. They had a bad 10-game stretch where their pitching melted. It's all that happened, and that division, Dwayne. Now now the ball's on Philly's racket to blow a lead in the division. We've already now seen this ping pong back and forth. That division's going to change hands at least 3 or 4 more times between those teams. But it's the thing actually that you look on your screen that may surprise some. Look at that bottom left corner of your screen right now. That's Milwaukee right now holding the final playoff spot over San Diego. So, Dwayne, there's a lot to happen. About less than 100 games to go now, closer to 80, as we are nearing the midway point that will come later this week for most teams.
Yeah, Jeff, if they stay consistent, you see what was so pleasing about this last week, and I'm a Dodger fan. When we're able to beat San Francisco and San Diego, we could open up that lead, and that's what happened in 1 week. You saw that we were able to really play well against those 2 teams. So teams like Milwaukee, yeah, definitely. St. Louis, Cincy, they definitely have chances at this wild card. The Cubs are still playing very consistent, even though Seattle, took it to them, and Seattle is a very young team, and they have a lot of possibilities on the other side of the picture. So, definitely it's good to see the landscape change and stay consistent from the Dodgers' point of view, but the landscape changing in the other divisions. So it's been great baseball. I'll be honest with you. Yankees and Mets had a lot of problems in the last, let's say 15 games. The Mets will get back, but it's just concerning that Soto really isn't stepping up to that cusp. He doesn't seem like his heart is fully into it. And I just can't understand. With all that money, he made the choice. If you didn't want to stay with the Yankees, you wanted to be the prince of the city, you're never going to outshine Aaron Judge. Aaron Judge is one of them generational players. He's one of the best ever. Him and Ohtani, we got 2 of them, one on each side of the ball, one on each side of the league. And, it's just, I can't understand why Soto can't bring that heart that other people on the Met roster have. Definitely Pete Alonso is one of those guys. He definitely has a ton of heart. He gets down on himself when he isn't playing well, when Soto just like, it's happening. I'll get hot. It'll start to come. The Mets really need to fix that clubhouse and get it focused to winning games. You can't just rely on that pitching. Like you said, Jeff, a couple of those injuries and it's catastrophic. The Mets pitching then falls to the middle of the pack as opposed to being at the top of the National League. Then you need the hitting. And this is where Lindor and Soto have to carry this team. And I know Lindor has a ton of heart. He's definitely one of those guys that you want him to really get hot. And if Soto could complement that and even get hotter than him, the Mets will be fine. It's just like you said, it's a heartbeat in that division. Philly loses 7 in a row. The Mets lose 7 in a row. I think the Mets have a slightly better team than Philly, but Bryce hasn't played yet, and he's going to come back soon. So we're going to see how that plays out. But yeah, definitely the Dodgers are still the best team in baseball. 14 pitches on the injured list, guys. This is why they are the best team, because they still have, I think they have the second best record. I think Detroit has maybe one more win. But with all those pitching injuries, you still have Ohtani playing phenomenal ball. Mookie hasn't really heated up as of yet. Freeman was hot the whole season. And, guys like Tosca, you've seen Muncy with the big hits, Edman. These Dodgers really have a ton of options. The only thing I don't understand, and I have to beat on a former Met, why is Michael Conforto still getting at bats and playing? It just seems like he constantly makes mistakes. He doesn't bring a good stick. He doesn't make contact. And Dodgers may make an acquisition late in the season to replace and to add to the depth of that hitting and that roster.
We're still a few weeks away. A lot has to happen. I know a lot of the voting is happening right now for the All-Star break, but just in your opinion, what's the best way to bet on the All-Star? Is it the game? Is it the home run derby? What's your favorite part, and what's the best way to make some money?
There is none, Alex. I like to get odds. I'll be honest with you. So I'll bet the home run derby. I'll see who's on the roster there. So I like those fun propositions. But the All-Star game's the All-Star game. How do you handicap that? You have all the best players in the world on one field. Anything can happen. Usually the games go under. I tell you, they're not the hitting fests of the old days where you would see Reggie just hitting triple decker shots in Detroit and old Tiger Stadium, and Mike Piazza hitting that massive homer in Philly. Those days are long gone. So, I usually look at the under because, the managers tend to run out of players as well. So if it gets tight down the stretch, we've seen that become an issue. But, it's an all-star game like any other all-star game, Alex. I don't like betting on them. I thought the Nations 4 was a way better scenario there in the NHL. And, we'll see how that plays out as well if they could expand on that. But, an all-star game's an all-star game. Very hard to handicap.
Dwayne, two more before we let you go. Any NBA draft takes with the draft coming on Wednesday?
We'll see how it plays out. I mean, I think I know who the Mavs are picking.
I think so, too.
Yeah. So we'll see how much that helps them and helps their roster after the Luka debacle, and maybe the fans will go back on their side as opposed to hating the general manager and ownership. So, definitely flag. He's going to be a stud. We'll see how it plays out, though. Going to be interesting. I'll be watching it without a doubt.
Huge win for the Aces yesterday. They really needed that one with Caitlin Clark and company coming into their building and actually moving up to the T-Mobile there. You and Vinny brought it up with WNBA and how much Caitlin Clark really brings to the handle. I'm curious how the handle was in yesterday's game between the Fever and the Aces.
Oh, it was fabulous. We had a ton of women that were asking for the game. I put it up on the bar and on the video wall. Very exciting. And Alex, a point too, the soccer has been unbelievable to handle, whether it's the World Cup Club or the CONCACAF. Unbelievable. It's just been great. And we've had some big bets and big wagers on the soccer that was held at Allegiant Stadium over the weekend. But, Caitlin is a monster. She's one of the best players I've ever seen on the women's side of the ball, probably the best that I have ever seen. And that include Cheryl Swoops and, all the past, Rebecca Lobo and all those girls, Tarasi. Caitlin is phenomenal. She has such a well-rounded game. She shoots the lights out. And it was great credit to see the, Becky get the Aces up for that game, and the Aces won. They came out with a victory. So we're still definitely a major city in the WNBA, considering title aspirations. But Caitlin's going to be tough this year. We have a few other teams that are playing very well. Chicago is just horrible. I think maybe they might change their coach actually mid-season. I don't know what happened there. Angel Reese, they don't know how to use her. She's definitely a talent, and, she just needs to work on her offensive game, but she's definitely a good defensive player. She gets a lot of rebounds. I know it's me bounds, a lot of people say, but, you're still getting offensive rebounds, which shows that you're following up your shot. And I remember playing CYO ball. That was always the most important thing that I was taught. You're not going to make, 55% of your shots. So you have to immediately follow up your shot. Even if you feel like it's going in, be perceptive to get that rebound. And Angel Reese is the best in the WNBA at that. But when you see her only taking one field goal attempt, they have to get her in the mix a little more. The Sky just continually lose by double digits. Even though they covered the spread yesterday, they're not playing good ball. So keep your eye on that. There's several propositions that Chris puts up on Caitlin Clark as well. She's definitely the focal point. She's the face of the WNBA, whether people like it or not. She's the best player, and definitely, sellout machine and bringing the fans into the buildings and packing them. Caitlin Clark's the best. So great credit for the Aces to come out with that victory.
He's Dwayne Colucci. You can get him up at the Rampart when the alarm's not going off. Racing Sportsbook Director, NY Bookie, Dwayne at the tweets. Dwayne, we are nearing the start of Del Mar, which is always a good sign.
Loving it. Loving life. Can't wait for it. And don't forget that festival at Saratoga, 4th of July weekend. So horse racing has been phenomenal here at the Rampart. I tell you, we got all the superstars. They're still healthy. You have journalism. You got sovereignty. You got Baeza on the other side now this weekend. Stephen F. Forster at Churchill. Sierra Leone making a return against Mystic Dan. What a matchup that's going to be. And Mindframe is in there. Keep your eye on Mindframe. Unbelievable Todd Pletcher horse. This horse will definitely going to be a factor in that race. Hopefully Sierra Leone, I'm concerned with the spacing in between races, Jeff. He hasn't run all that often. He only ran once this year over at the fairgrounds, and it was horrible. Hopefully Chad Brown has him back into great shape. But, you had Royal Ascot did a tremendous job over the past week, and we had Los Al Open, and there was some interest in that as well. Churchill with the Twilight cards, it was phenomenal. Belmont at Aqueduct. But Saratoga and Del Mar coming. That's the best. Definitely, without a doubt. Del Mar is going to be a focal point. Room's going to be packed every day for that 2:00 post. And Saratoga as well. That's the meet of champions, the greatest meet in the United States for horse racing. And all the superstars are going to be riding there, whether it's Flavian Pratt, Irad Ortiz, Jose Ortiz. Everybody's going to be there trying to get a piece of them massive purses. It's a great time for horse racing as you go into late July and August.
Dwayne, thank you as always. We'll see you again next Monday.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jeff and Alex. The best show, without a doubt. I don't have to keep saying it. If you're into sports gambling, sports betting, horse racing, listening to the bookmakers and the great stories that Chris, Jimmy, Vinny, myself have, this is where you need to be. Never mind all these Mickey Mouse other stations. This is where we are giving you hands-on information, the best information in the United States on horse racing and sports betting, coming straight from the bookmakers' mouths. We don't make stuff up here. We've been booking for years. We have stories. We know how the flow is. We create our own lines over at the South Point. Just a tremendous job by Chris Andrews and his team. And I'm so proud to be a part of the team and the Sports by the Book team.
Dwayne, we're proud that you're part of our team too. So appreciate you as always. We will talk again 1 week from today. He's Dwayne Colucci. Get him on the tweets. NY Bookie Dwayne. All right, we'll take a break and we get back. Baseball. Through the card we go on a Monday. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
Sports by the book?
Sports by the book.
Sports by the book. Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
This is the best sports betting network.
I would argue it is a total mismatch.
There's value with underdog prices in series.
I would lean to the under here.
My numbers are saying I got to bet the Tigers.
Two-way action.
When in doubt, we juice that favorite, that extra nickel.
Sports by the book, South Point Studio.
Forget about it. The best.
South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Back at Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White. Good morning, everyone. We got 9 baseball games to go here today. And let's get into it. We start in New York. By the way, yeah, Alex just pointed to it. The trivia question's down there in the bottom. If you want to go, we got baseball. Okay. Actually, it looks like the question's already been answered before we even got out of break. So there you go.
Wow.
So fast. We'll tell you who won in a few moments. All right. Let's go to it. We'll go to Queens. Mets, Braves. We saw this last week. Braves swept the Mets, and then promptly Atlanta went to Miami and lost 2 out of 3. So much for turning that to the run. Also, they lose Chris Sale for an extended period of time, who on that amazing play at the end of the game where he's throwing a shutout, made that diving stop, broken rib cage. So there's not the Braves year, but they've hammered the Mets through 3 games.
I was actually listening to that call on the radio.
It was a
as I was
spectacular
driving,
play.
and I wanted to go back and I wanted to watch it because how they actually called it, but I didn't know that was how he got
It was an
injured.
amazing play. It just, again, brittle for Sale, who, by the way, is probably on his way to going to the Hall of Fame at this point. But he's on the IL. He was supposed to pitch in the series. He won't now. So it's Schwellenbach and Blackburn. Blackburn pitched against, both of these guys pitched against the opponent last week. Schwellenbach actually had his worst start ever against the Mets, but the Braves came back and won that game thanks to an Ozuna double that forced extra. And Blackburn got clocked in his start early against Atlanta last week. Mets are 2-8 in their last 10. They're not playing well right now. They're a dog at home for just the second time this season. Plus 120 on the Mets, minus 135 in Atlanta tonight.
Nothing for me in this one, Jeff. It's just too hard to handicap with these two just seeing each other. If they hadn't, I would definitely probably be on Schwellenbach. I mean, he's been fantastic all year, 11 quality starts on the year, 73% of his starts. I like that number there. You're right about his start against the Mets, but he did still have 8 strikeouts. So I think he can have a bounce back here, not give up 4 runs. He did go 7 innings pitched. Don't know what we're going to get from Blackburn. 2 starts so far this year, 6.94 ERA. Not great, not promising. Maybe he needs a little more time, but I'm just going to stay off of this one.
Just for reference, real quick, when I say that was his worst start he's ever had against the Mets, that's the first time he's given up more than 1 earned run. So he has been outrageously good in his short career against the Mets. So
right.
that again, all relative, still was, again, the Braves won the game that he pitched in last week. By the way, Mets and Phillies are going to go back and forth about 25 times this year. Phillies grabbed a 1-game lead after taking 2 out of 3 off of New York this weekend, leading the National League East. Phillies, by the way, off today before beginning their weekly action tomorrow, where they will be in Houston to take on the Astros for a 2022 World Series rematch. All right, we go to Milwaukee next. Brewers, we mentioned earlier, they're in the playoffs. If the playoffs started today, they've snagged that final wild card slot. It'll be Patrick and Ashcraft tonight. Pirates will be the opponent. Minus 70 here at the South Point on Milwaukee, plus 155 on Pittsburgh with a total of 8.5.
So these two split the first series 2-2. That was May 22nd through the 25th. Chad Patrick did not pitch, though, against his Pirates lineup. I think that gives him a little bit of edge here. Not my favorite pitcher to back, but he is decent enough. On the other side, Ashcraft, he's just had 7 appearances out of the bullpen for the Pirates. A little bit nervous about him starting here in this one, his first career Major League start against the Brewers. Some people like to back them in that spot. I don't necessarily. I would only play the Pirates looking for team total going under. It is 3.5, which feels very low, but I still don't trust this Pirates lineup, and I think Chad Patrick can do just enough. So I like the full game under. I lean that way as well, but the Brewers, man, in the last 5 to 7 games, they have really been crushing the ball. I think they have the best offensive numbers. They do going today. 360 average, 415 on base percentage, and a 163 WRC plus. I'm not going to bet the full game under just in case Braxton Ashcraft really does get hit up by them. But Pirates under, I do like that one.
Pirates, again, we know offense still a big problem for the Pirates, who are in dead last in the National League Central, and it's not going to change. They're 9.5 games behind Cincinnati for 4th place. By the way, the Reds still haven't been swept. They got the last game yesterday to avoid being swept in St. Louis. So that we'll get to the Reds in a little bit. Speaking of the Cardinals, now, here's my question. It's June 23rd. Ryan, correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first time Cardinals and Cubs have played each other this year, right?
First time. Yeah.
How is that possible? What are we doing with the scheduling here? with the Cardinals and the Cubs not playing until June 23rd. And it's a 4-game set in St. Louis today. Brown and Liberatore is your matchup. Cubs, of course, in first place in the National League Central. Flip at most books. It's -10 Cubs, -05 here at the South Point on the Cardinals. Total's gone down a half run from 9 to 8.5 here, Alex.
I don't agree with this number. I do think the Cardinals should be a bigger favorite here at home. I think you have a big pitching advantage with Liberatore. And I know his numbers aren't great, but at home they have been much better. So his ERA at home is 3.95, a 1.12 whip. So I do lean that side, but it is very hot in St. Louis. So I think I like the total even more. I think we're going to get runs on both sides. Ben Brown, he's very hit or miss, kind of every other start for him. So at Philadelphia, gave up 6 earned runs on 5 2/3 innings. And then the one before that pitched very well against the Tigers. But before that, 8 earned runs against the Reds. So I think this Cardinals team will be able to put some runs on the board. And as much as I do like Liberatore, we know this Cubs offense is capable of doing that too. Are getting hot. I like their numbers in their last 7 games. So with the heat and everything, I like over 8.5.
Can't really fault you there. Again, weather in St. Louis, and this is something to keep in mind. Meant to mention this on the Met game as well. Temperatures across the country, especially on the border of the Mississippi and east, obviously St. Louis right on the Mississippi. Here's your weather in St. Louis today. It's wind blowing out with 92 degrees at first pitch with 60% humidity.
Ooh.
Yeah. Gross. And that is going to be a theme this week. By the way, first pitch in New York today is 85. Tomorrow it's going to be 96 degrees at first pitch at 7 o'clock with high humidity. That is bad tomorrow in New York. And we also have one more bad humidity game, which we'll get to in a few moments. This next game will not have bad humidity. Of course, it's in San Diego. Kolek and Parker. Padres salvaged the final game yesterday against the Royals. Nats, as we've talked about, just been brutal over the last 2 weeks. Down to 14 games under as they get clocked in L.A. yesterday. They did take the middle game, so not a total calamity in L.A. for the Nats. Parker and Kolek, -65 on San Diego, +50 on Washington.
The only way I would look to this one is an under here with these two, but I don't trust either pitcher. I mean, looking at their median numbers, but just using my dad's number, he's got a pretty big difference here on that 8.5. Says it should be closer to 7 here between these two. But again, I'm a little bit nervous with both pitchers going. So looking at Mitchell Parker, his median numbers on the year are 5 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 3 earned runs, just 2 strikeouts, just 2 walks to 4 strikeouts. Same numbers in that category for Kolak with 3 earned runs as well, going 5 2/3. So I'm not going to jump in. I don't really trust the Nats bats that they're completely back. I do like the Padres. They've kind of just been even there. They're very average, a little above average, but I'm just going to pass on this one.
Can't blame you. Can't blame you. I wish it was a little bit cheaper on San Diego. Then it would be a look at that. But just Kolek start -65 is a lot, even against a struggling national team. We go to Baltimore next. Rangers and Orioles. Rangers took 2 out of 3 in Pittsburgh. Orioles lost 2 out of 3 in the Bronx as a big underdog in all 3 games. -15 on Trevor Rogers, even on Corbin. Total 9.5. This would only be a look to the over. But again, we still don't fully trust that Texas offense here, Alex.
No, we don't. And that is the only way I wanted to look at it, was taking that even money, any plus price here with the Rangers. I do think that you have a slight pitching advantage with Patrick Corbin. Well, what we have seen from him so far this year, he has fallen off a little bit as of late. So that kind of makes me nervous because his last 2 starts, he just went 5 innings in both of those. Against the Twins, gave up 3 runs. And then against the Royals, gave up 4. So command's not fully there either. We are seeing his strikeout to walk ratio go down. So I'm going to stay off of it as well. But it would be a look at the away team here.
Will only be an over for me. But again, it's 9.5, and this Texas offense just has been wildly inconsistent this year, as we know. We go to Minnesota next. Mariners, Twins, Woo, Ober. Not a bad pitching matchup in Minneapolis here today. Mariners have started to stabilize the ship again. They're back 2 games over 500 now. They had credit. We'll say this real quick. Even though They are not in action today. I got to give the Astros a lot of credit because I really thought this was going to be the regression year. And ever since the month of April, the Astros have played really darn well and actually could push the Yankees and the Tigers for a bye, which would really make things interesting if what has been set up by us and a lot of people out there of a Yankees-Tiger collision course in the American League. That could get messed up by Houston. It could also get messed up by Seattle if they get hot on offense. Minus 25 on Wu, Obers plus 10, total 8.5 at Target tonight.
I think that this price is wrong here. Even though I love Brian Wu, I love backing him. I particularly like it better when he is pitching at home. Not as good on the road as pretty bad splits here. Looking at his road numbers, a 3.93 ERA, just a 103 WHIP though for him, but at home, 2.08 ERA and a sub-1 and 8.2 WHIP for him. So I think Bailey Ober is right there, if not just as good, especially at home. His median numbers, 6 innings pitched there for him, 5 hits, 1 earned run, and 4 to 5 strikeouts to just 1 walk. So I think it's a twin spot. I think that that's a great plus price on a good home team here.
Minnesota, as we've talked about too, just as streaky as anyone. They've gotten on hard times now, back 3 games under 500. Even with the good home record, they got toasted this past weekend by Milwaukee, as you mentioned, Alex. And boy, Brewers look at the Brewers this past week. I mean, what the hell happened to Minnesota's pitching? 17-9-9?
Yes.
Woo. Not good for Minnesota against Milwaukee over the weekend. Could be, like you said, good bounce back spot, to say the very least, on the Twins. All right, Kahanowitz and Buehler next up in Anaheim. Angels small dog. Boy, this feels like a good price on the Red Sox going against one of the weaker starters in baseball.
Yes.
In Kahanowitz here, minus 15 on the Red Sox, total of 9. I would only be on Boston here, Alex.
I agree. I think everybody's a little bit thinking about his last start, which was fantastic against the Yankees. Yeah. He went 5 1/3, just 2 earned runs, 8 strikeouts, 3 walks, but I still do not think he is a very good pitcher. Definitely below average here. I would take Walker Buehler as well. I just don't know how much I trust him or this lineup because they had that one really big win and then kind of have fallen off lately.
Alex, I have a question actually real quick because the Red Sox and the Nationals are both in the midst of these very long West Coast swings for right now. When you get to that third series, obviously opponent is everything, but do you tinker with numbers at all? Or is it just straight up, all right, they just maybe even more adjusted now since they've been out there for a week?
Yeah, no, I would go with that second one for sure, but it's tough, and I guess you kind of have to play just how they're playing, right? So it could definitely differ, but we might have to ask Kenny White. He might have a different answer for us.
Well, we won't see Kenny at all this week.
No?
Kenny is let's just say out and about this week. So we'll see Kenny hopefully in a few weeks. All right, now here's the weather game of the day, and this is just I'm just shuddering, and it's not because of my sunburn of what this weather is in Cincinnati here, Alex. First pitch tonight between the Yankees and the Reds at Great American Ballpark. It's 93 degrees with 66% humidity.
Oh.
Ugh. Gross. Now, this would be the ultimate hitter's game if the wind was blowing out. It's not. But the total's up to 10, which is, again, for Great American Ballpark with Lodolo on the mound, that's high.
Yes.
The Yankees are throwing a Winans today, who's bounced around in his major league career, first appearance with the Yankees. Alex, I know Lodolo's pitched well. I know this is a home game for him, but boy, that weather report is so awful for pitchers today that it makes me feel like, all right, you got to grab the 10 before this goes up to 10.5 for good.
Well, to help that case, Nick Lodolo, if you look at his home and away splits, he's been much better on the road this year. His home numbers, 5.4 ERA, a 1.30 WHIP for him, and on the road, 2.31 ERA. So he's been much better when he's not at home. So I don't know. I think that is a good way to play this. Maybe even taking the Reds, though, because what are we going to get on the other side? Or even maybe taking the Reds team total over instead of going for the Yankees to get to Nick Lodolo. He's definitely the better pitching going in this matchup. So I didn't circle anything, but it would be a lean to try to back the Reds team total or maybe even that plus 110.
Red team total seems good too. You know what? I expect the Yankees to score runs tonight too. Where finally got out of the offensive nonsense over the weekend against Baltimore. So, boy, just gross weather across the country, and it's going to be all week here. And look, the White Sox. Boy, this is another one where I'm going to just tell you, it is a shame. And Roto Grinders pointed this out. Kevin Roth pointed this out. This weather pattern in Chicago today, if this was at Wrigley Field, they would not be able to make these totals high enough. It is 94 degrees at first pitch tonight at rate. The humidity is in the mid-40s. The wind is blowing 20 miles an hour, but it's blowing as a crosswind. If this was in Wrigley, forget it. We'd have a 12.5 tonight with these sort of conditions if this was at Wrigley. It's Rodriguez and Smith. Total's only 9. Look, Alex, I get it's a crosswind, so it's a little bit screwy when you're dealing with that. But 96 degrees in Chicago and the total's only 9? It feels like, all right, could it go under? Of course, it's a baseball game, but that feels pretty darn good to the over here at a 9 when you got basically just absurdly ideal. If the wind was blowing out, it'd be even more absurd. But mid-90s in Chicago with high humidity, that is unbelievably good hitting conditions. I
don't hate it at all, especially with both of these pitchers going. And I know I like to back Shane Smith early on, but I think he's kind of come back down to earth. He really has only had 4 quality starts all year long. And I mean, his last start against the Cardinals, he got hit pretty good, 4 1/3, 6 hits, 5 earned runs in that one for him. Kind of nervous. He's been walking a lot of guys too. If there's anyone that can take advantage of that, it is the Diamondbacks. And few guys sat out yesterday, kind of rested. They lost that getaway day, and now I think this could be a good bounce back spot for them. So I think minus 140 is a cheap price on Arizona, and I don't hate the over either.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on Arizona as well. This would be a good spot for them to get their act together as well, where Arizona, again, they're 1 game over 500, but again, it is such a compact National League that 1 game over is not good enough at the current moment. One quick chat question before we hit a break, and we'll get to Alex's whiteboard and the trivia answer after the break. Vacaries Vegas asked about the salami today, which is 85.5 on this total. Look, based off how I'm talking, I would only look to the over. But again, tread carefully, as always, because at an 85.5, if you get a few 3s and 4s, you could have a big problem. But yeah, with the way the weather is, and pretty much it is, other than San Diego, Milwaukee, and Anaheim, it is pretty much across the board ideal hitting conditions everywhere else today. I don't hate it at all. I'm going to count up my totals here on the break, see what I come up with. All right. We're going to take a break. When we get back, whiteboard, trivia question, and a bon voyage on Monday here on Sports by the Book.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south of the border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside.
right, welcome back in at Sports by the Book here on a Monday morning. Next to last Monday of June. We're almost at the end. 1 week to go in the month of June, 4th of July, right around the corner. Crazy, crazy, crazy. We're going to be halfway home in the Major League Baseball season, which means we'll be able to talk football in about 2 weeks from now, which we'll be on the lookout for our NFL previews coming in the month of July and August, and, of course, our college football preview coming in August, as we did a year ago. All right, trivia question. Which Major League Baseball outfielder was the first to notch both 500 homers and 500 stolen bases in their career? Did it with a stolen base on this date in 2003. And that, of course, is the one and only Barry Bonds, who, yeah, I know the steroid stuff, but you can't tell the history of baseball without Barry Bonds, or all those steroid guys, matter of fact. Bonds, of course, hit his 500th career homer in 2001, and then did it against Colorado with the 500 stolen base in 2003 on this date. Bonds did it. Nick did it in our chat today, was the first one there, and got it before we even had a commercial break when it came up. So Nick on the board. The Nick JR Battle of June continues at a fever pitch with 1 week to go in trivia questions.
Should be interesting, yeah. See who the winner is.
We'll see. We'll send Drew Dog back through the tape to get the exact count heading into next Monday so we can put a graphic up and everything to see who wins on Monday.
I'm sure Drew Dog would love nothing more just to go back.
Oh, hey, look, it's at least it's easy timestamps every show, right? At least we know when it happens in the show. All right, whiteboard for Alex here on a Monday. A 3-top on a short card here for Alex White.
Yep. So I got 2 totals here, and then I am going to pick one of the 3 dogs that I did like, but I will recap all 3 of those. Pirates team total, I'm going under that 3.5, just minus 115 here at the South Point. Cubs and Cards, I'm taking that one over 8.5, as we talked about with the weather. St. Louis, very warm there today. And then I'm going to take a shot on the Twins. I know that they have lost 3 in a row, but Bailey Ober's probably one of the better pitchers going today that I do trust to help the Twins turn it around. So the other ones that I was leaning were the Rangers with Patrick Corbin going. And then my other one was the Reds, but I'm not going to bet on the Reds for all of our Reds fans. So that is it for me today.
There we go. Looking at that, see, it's never in doubt, even with the crazy hitters weather across the board. The Pirates, of course, naturally in an indoor game tonight. So there you go. It always finds you, right? Yeah. Just one way or another. All right, that's what we got here today. We're back tomorrow. Full baseball card. Maybe an NBA draft bet or two. Unlikely because the markets are pretty firm at this rate. WNBA talk as well on a Tuesday. Go through some future odds as well and some Major League Baseball divisions entering a Tuesday. So we're looking at a lot here on the show here tomorrow. Ryan, Jerry, Drew Dog, Vince, and thank you all as always. She's Alex. I'm Jeff. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.